Meatballs. We're at a special location today with a special guest, Claudio Masci. The name of the restaurant is Claudio's Pizzeria and Restaurante.
Claudio the Cooker.
We're in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, so this restaurant does catering and takeout, right?
And other things.
Catering, takeout, and he does some cooking classes too. So if you happen to live in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, I'll put the links below this video for his phone number and address. If you need any type of Italian food in the South Hills, this is the place to go. He also does catering to order. So we are going to make meatballs today. I've been coming to his restaurant for about 20 years. Both of my kids' baptisms have been at your restaurant.
Yeah. Birthday parties.
Yeah. My wife's 40th birthday party was here 3 or 4 years ago. My babies have been carried around by his brother through the kitchens and stuff like that over the years. So we've been eating at Claudio's for 20 years now, and he's given us the opportunity to see how to make really good Italian meatballs. So we're making what, 10 pounds of...
10 pounds. I'm making a small batch for Charles, but yeah.
So
the first thing, important thing, start with the meat. Good meat. Get a butcher. Professionally, I use sirloin.
90-10.
Yep. And then, and this is traditional Abruzzi from a region recipe. So
Abruzzi, Italy.
Yep. East Coast Abruzzi out of Italy. And then we have ground meat, and then I'll explain everything to you as we go. Okay?
So we're doing 10 pounds, and what Claudio was telling me is, you do 10 pounds, you make a bunch of meatballs, and he's going to tell us how to freeze them. And then that way you have baggies in the freezer anytime you want. If you're just making spaghetti for yourself, you just need 1 or 2 meatballs, or you're making it for a family, you have a bunch of meatballs ready to go. So you make this one time, and you're good for a month's worth of meatballs.
Well, my kids will be a week.
Okay, a week. A week or a month, however much you eat them, but this is the way to do it in bulk. So we're going to do 10 pounds, and we're going to do the recipe for 10 pounds of meatballs. So if you're going to make a smaller batch, you can just cut things down in half.
Make 10 pounds. Okay, so we start with the meat, okay? Now, today I'm using, first of all, I always use dry ingredients first, okay? So I'm going to go with the fresh basil, just about a cup or so. Chop it up real fine.
Yeah, fresh basil, chopped up, about a cup and a half.
Yep. Now, parsley, you can do fresh parsley. If you do dry parsley, make sure it's good. Smell it. If it's not good, put it in the garbage.
Okay, you want to have a nice aroma to your parsley.
Yeah. 1 handful is plenty for this, okay? Even less, okay?
1 handful, maybe call that like a half a cup or so?
Yeah, yeah. And the salt and pepper, go very light, and I'll explain to you why. Very light, okay?
You're not overpowering it with salt, you're not overpowering it with black pepper.
Okay. Now we do a dozen eggs.
So we're doing a dozen eggs
with 10
to
pounds.
10 pounds. And you can see here, we got the 10 pounds of meat in there with the basil, salt, pepper, and parsley at the moment. Not a shell in there. Oh, I said it, there's a shell.
That's why you pay attention.
You leave the shells in there for your special customers.
That's why you pay attention. You use fresh garlic or garlic powder. Garlic powder is dehydrated garlic.
Now you're not going to go heavy on this, right?
Well, if you make it for the customers, let's say, for the restaurant, you make it medium. If you like garlic, you can put as much garlic as you want. Fresh or dry.
So for 10 pounds, what are you putting in?
Probably about an ounce to 2 ounces and a half.
Quarter cup?
No, not even an ounce and a half. It's a cup.
So 3 or 4 tablespoons.
Yeah, yeah.
And then now, Claudio, what if we want to use fresh garlic? What do we do if we have a nice head of garlic at home? What do we do to put in fresh garlic?
Fine. I would go with 3 to 4 cloves.
3 or 4 cloves of fresh garlic.
Unless you like more.
Okay. So just chop it up real fine.
Real fine.
Or use one of those garlic presses.
You can. Yeah.
Okay. So a garlic press or something like that. Put it in here so it's in little tiny bits, so when you mix up the meat, all of that gets in there. But if you have the garlic powder, by all means, just use that. It's going to give you a nice flavor.
Now this is dry ingredients, okay?
Dry ingredients first.
Okay. Now, traditionally, as a restaurant, we'll make it with the breadcrumbs. But in Italy, we make it with old, good bread.
So buy a loaf of Italian bread, and how many cups of... We took 1...
This is 22-ounce loaf of bread.
So it's basically a loaf of Italian bread.
Yeah, yeah.
And we broke it up into chunks.
And added water to it.
4 cups of water we put in.
Yeah. Not to soak it all the way through. Now, at this point, you want to mix the dry ingredients, okay?
Okay.
And also, Charles, let's do the romano first before we do the dry ingredients.
Okay.
Let's say 10 ounces.
So a solid measuring cup full of pecorino romano.
Right. Or use Reggiano, whatever it is, use good cheese. If you use bad cheese, okay. So I'm going to mix this right now dry.
So we're getting all the dry ingredients in there. Mix it up by hand. No reason to use a KitchenAid mixer here. Get your hands dirty.
Well, the mixer's called Claudio.
Yeah, the mixer's called Claudio.
So, dozen eggs. 22 ounces of bread, good bread.
Loaf of bread, 4 cups of milk. Let it, something we did before we started the video is we broke up the bread and let it soak with the water for about, what, 20 minutes or so? So we just did that first, so the bread can soak in all the water, and that's going to add the
moisture. That's mock bread, by the way.
That's so the water is going to add moisture with the eggs, with the bread, and keep these nice and moist when we bake them in the oven.
Yeah.
Claudio, let me ask you a question real quick. You only use ground meat in this. Tell us, if you want to do a mixture, what do you do?
Well,
if you want to add veal and pork.
Now, professionally I do just beef because people have, they don't really eat veal or eat pork. But here I just do the beef. Now, if I do it at home, perhaps or a private party, I'll do beef, veal, and pork.
So a third of each.
Third of each.
So if you want a slightly different flavor, you can get your butcher. Don't buy something that's on the rack. Get your butcher.
Basil, yeah.
Get your butcher to grind you up some nice pork, some nice veal, and some ground meat, a third of each.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 10 pounds, like 3 pounds each, or a little bit more.
Whatever you like.
Mix it all in there. So this is a pure beef meatball, but you can do veal, pork, and beef.
Or lamb, whatever you want.
Or lamb.
Yeah. Look at Charles' apron, it looks like professional.
This is the first time I've ever worn an apron for one of my videos.
Now, this is a metal sheet tray, okay? This is a baking paper, deli paper. Yeah.
Parchment paper.
Now, we're going to do a little oil. What do we need this for, Charles?
What do we need you over?
I'm going to paint it.
Okay.
All right, your hands are clean. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a little oil, okay? Then you make a smooth meatball, okay?
Here.
Look, I just smooth with the oil, right?
So you put oil on your hands. What's that? Keep the meat from sticking to your.
That the mixed night brown meatballs versus the one with all, So always keep your hands oiled up. You can use vegetable oil, whatever you want.
Is that a good size?
It's a good size.
So what is this? Bigger than a little bit bigger than a golf ball.
Right there. That's a new thing now. Meatball restaurants all over the country, right?
What's that?
There's a new thing right now, Charles. The meatball restaurants all over Toronto, New York. What's a big deal? I've been making meatballs for 40-some years.
So let's start at 350. You might need 400, but you're going to cook these for about 45 minutes. And once again, that depends on how big the meatballs are. If you're making smaller ones, you might only need 30-35 minutes. But once again, you've seen in my videos, I swear by that oven thermometer that I have. You bring the meat out. If you watch the broiled chicken video I just did, you saw the digital thermometer I have. You check the temperature. And you make sure, 165 degrees, 170 degrees, how much do you want?
I get it to 170. You get it to 160, you're safe.
Okay, so
I get it to 170.
So let's go to 170 degrees, but if you're making these size meatballs, go for about 45 minutes, and you turn them after 20, correct?
20, 25, depends on it.
20, 25 minutes, turn them so both sides get evenly browned.
Yeah. Now the oven's working. I turned it off, so it might take a little longer.
Okay, so I just want to thank Claudio for having us here today. Claudio, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Charles, brother.
This is a great lesson on how to make meatballs. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna make this for Dina and the girls.
Okay.
And bring them out of that oven and show everybody the finished product. So here we are at home. Meatballs coming out of the oven. Perfect 170 degrees. Checked them with my meat thermometer. Perfectly nice and brown. After 25 minutes at 350 degrees, I flipped them once and let them go for another 20 minutes. And as you can see, perfectly nice, and they have a nice soft texture to them. Not very hard. And making a pot of spaghetti right now. Spaghetti and meatballs for dinner tonight. So here we are with our meatballs. Great consistency with all the soaked breadcrumbs, the basil, the parsley. Perfect flavor. All it needs is tomato sauce and a plate of pasta. So now, if you made 3 pounds of meatballs, it's different than the recipe that I made earlier in this video with Claudio. We made 10 pounds. With 3 pounds of meat, I made, let's see, 15, 20, 25, about 28 meatballs with that. So what you do at this point is you let this tray completely cool. You can put it in the refrigerator, let it cool down, and then put them in a Ziploc, a large Ziploc bag. Lay them flat in your freezer. Don't let them touch. Put them all in a Ziploc bag. Don't roll them together and put them in a big ball. Lay them flat. Place them in the Ziploc bag. Lay them flat in your freezer for about an hour. Let them freeze solid. Then you can store them any way you want. Once they're frozen, you can put them. You put more in the bag. Freeze them any way you want. It took me about an hour and a half to make these. Mixing the meat, doing all this myself at home by myself. My daughter Jessie did help roll out the meatballs a bit, clean everything up. So you got an hour and a half invested. You got 28 meatballs here. Freeze them, get them out as you need them, let them thaw out the night before. It's a great method to do. This is much better than you're going to buy in a grocery store in those pre-frozen bags of meatballs. So freeze these at home for yourself. And because the instructions that you saw earlier in this video were for 10 pounds of meat, what I'm going to do is I will put a link below this video for my Facebook page, and I'll do a special post with the ingredients that I used for 3 pounds. So if you want to make a large batch, you have the ingredients and the amounts that we used earlier in the video. If you want to make a smaller batch of 3 pounds, I'll link you to my Facebook page where you'll be able to print off or keep a copy of what you need for 3 pounds of meatballs. But by all means, make them like this. Freeze them for later use. You'll love them. So try this at home with your family. You'll love this. It's a great recipe. It's perfectly authentic. The taste is fabulous. I've been eating these for 20 years. You'll love it. So check out the Facebook post for more ingredients. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button below. That really helps me a lot. Hit the subscribe button for future content. We'll see you next week. And thank you for joining us at Bravo Charlie's.